So this is gonna be your introduction to cleansing. I didn't want to just make any video on cleansing. There are many videos that already teach you to light an incense, to use a body oil. So what I did is that I wrote a couple of documents, which I'll have everything linked down below in the description box. Sorry for the dogs in the background, you know. But that is something that I decided to do so that you guys can follow along and also keep in your records. You can research more. You know, hopefully this inspires you to continue to learn about cleansing your energy, spiritual hygiene, protection, stuff like that. And feel free to comment anything that you feel like I missed as well. But I did write this piece as well, and I wanted you guys to hear it. So it says, people across the world have turned to nature to heal, survive, create traditions, practices, and to reconnect with themselves. From the Caribbeans, in places like the Dominican Republic and Haiti, to Mexico, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela, as well as parts of West Africa, communities relied on herbs, plants, and rituals, not only for survival, but for spiritual well-being. This heavily supports the idea that cleansing your energy is also intertwined with where you come from, your practices, and energies you resonate with. Cleansing, in its deepest form, is rooted in these ancient traditions passed down from generation to generation. It's not just lighting an incense or waving a feather. It's tuning into your own magic and listening to the whispering inklings that drive you. I would like to read you a poem that I wrote. It says, spring is coming. In the coldest nights of this year, the very tower you stood on collapsed, shattered, along with your dreams and inspirations, like losing track of something you wanted to say so badly and urgently. But it also took the noise and chaos away. You cried over the broken pieces, but did not notice there were no remnants of the villain in your story, only the pain. Let the spring plant seeds of hope in you this year, to build a tower even taller, to never give up on your dreams, only to let yourself be alive again. Allow the spirits that protect and guide you to bring you back to your old self again. For this renewal brings no more remnants of the past, and the monsters that once haunted you are now gone. into the fundamentals of cleansing. And as I said before, I did list the documents in the description box if you would like to download them. They're free to use, free for you to change, or however you want to do it. So just a disclaimer that I did use the elements as a base for different ways to cleanse, but depending on your culture, your religion, where you come from, you know, you may resonate with some of the elements, not all. Some of you will resonate with all of them. So definitely take what I have to say with a grain of salt, and please keep in mind to always use your intuition. This is very different than astrological signs, zodiac signs. So it could very well be that you are a fire sign, but you find yourself needing to surround yourself with water, or the water element, or the earth element, or whatever the case, and vice versa, right? So this is, again, very separate from zodiac or astrology signs or astrological signs. So we are going to get started with water, or the water element. So if I look over here, it's because my notes are on this side. So water represents emotions, intuition, personal relationships, and connection to your roots. The way that I will say water, the water element, is that water element is connection. It's fluid. It doesn't ever stop moving. So you constantly feel connected to your ancestors, to your family, to your lineage, to where you come from. And that's how I associate water. These are some of the characteristics, if you have strong water energy, would be remembering where you come from, honoring cultural traditions, and it is just something that always brings you extreme fulfillment. Just being around loved ones, especially animals as well. You are constantly connected to others, and often have a hard time in early childhood learning how to turn your empathy off, but also regulate your emotions. So you could have gone through periods where you either hated people altogether because of all the noise and constantly feeling connected, or you absolutely love people even when they did you wrong, and it was like they were the love of your life, even though, you know, again, they were like pure evil or the worst person. Love, bonding, physical and emotional support are all very important to you, and is something that you center yourself around. You basically thrive when your friends and loved ones reciprocate care and consideration. Especially, you're not really the type to care about gifts, but especially when you feel considered, or like someone thought of a specific detail about you or something that you like. This is very special to you as well. People prominent in the water element have a need to constantly express all their emotions: sadness, anger, happiness, grief, stillness, through creation. Whether that's poetry, books, writing, crafting, music, concerts, all healthy forms of release. And when you do not release your emotions through your creativity or through your personality, you find that you become very bitter and frustrated in the world. That one is a very important one. You hold a lot of space for connection and deep forms of mysticism. This ties back to ritual, devotion, and honoring your roots. Many individuals who connect to water are faithful within their religion. Others are devoted to their own form of spirituality, but all have one thing in common: reverence in the otherworldly. It's like water elements just know that there's a God out there, whether it's, you know, God Almighty, or whether it's because they're pagan and they have deities. It's like they just always have that sense of spirituality. deeply empathetic and constant love, or talk about animals, people, and feel their emotions stronger than others, I feel it's just like harder for them to control their emotions, because when they love, they truly love with their whole heart. Some signs that you may need a water cleanse would be feeling emotionally drained, unable to regulate your emotions, overwhelmed and isolated, experiencing persistent sadness, mood swings, or difficulty regulating emotions, negativity or low energy around social situations, or alone, especially low self-worth and negative thoughts. And another thing is just like constantly feeling like being around people is emotionally draining. And usually when you're around these people, you feel like you can be yourself, but out of nowhere there's kind of like a flip that switches. That is also a big indicator that you need a water cleanse. Another thing is overindulgence in escapist activities like excessive reading, gaming, smoking, drinking, or other kind of distractions, because you are like trying to temporarily escape your situation. So ways to cleanse with water, obviously incense, sage, not white sage because that's cultural appropriation, but there's other types of sage. Something I like to use is yerba santa. That one is a really good one, especially when you're going through heartbreak. But there are different types of sage. There's blue sage, there's dragon's blood sage, and you know, you can use oils, but specifically for water, spiritual baths are gonna be your best friend. Spiritual baths, spending time with your favorite animals, loved ones, or friends, filled with laughter and joy, to kind of remind you to have a good time and let loose. Immersing yourself in music, creative outlets to help you release pent-up emotions. And sometimes that just means journaling and writing to let it all out. And venting for you guys is gonna be a really good one, because it's kind of like you're always there for other people. So this is the time where you need a helping hand, a friend, a loved one. Engaging in rituals or practices that honor ancestry or personal heritage. This could be as simple as like making your favorite meal that your grandma used to make you, or as simple as like dancing to a song that comes from your culture. It kind of like grounds you and makes you think about your roots, right, where you come from. Another thing is visiting water, beaches, lakes, rivers. This one is an obvious one that everyone always says, but it is also true. And especially if you can travel to where you come from, if you are Caribbean, or you know, somewhere where you used to always visit in your childhood, that is also a good way to cleanse with water. I was saying that, so meditation and navigating your energy to better help you understand. Meditation can be through sound bowls, because water is a vibration just like music and sounds. So you can definitely use as I said, sound bowls. But another thing is to find your own source of meditation. Sometimes it's maybe it's the sound of the birds chirping in the morning, or maybe it's like you going by the coast and listening to the ocean waves. It can be something so simple or so far-fetched, but it's your version, your practice, and that's something that I wanted to say. Moving on to earth elements. Earth represents creativity, individuality, and connection to your environment. People with strong earth energy often have a deep sense of self and are unwavering in their character because it has usually been formed through being misaligned, silenced, bullied, and misunderstood. Learn from experience, most times not through formal education. Many will join the trades, military, perform work others are opposed to. Their work ethic is like no other, which is why they become so passionate about their career and most times can excel anywhere. Hold reverence for family traditions and memories, especially those loved ones who have passed. They'll always be the one who remembers small details like their favorite movies, food, or music, and will talk to others about their family because they don't want their memory to dissipate. Extremely observant and calm on the surface, but definitely process emotions internally. They value nostalgia and depth, like old literature, vintage pieces, forms of art, and meaningful traditions. For example, their mom's favorite song growing up. They're highly sensitive to their environment, intuitive to the point where they will physically or emotionally feel sick around the wrong person or the wrong place. And most of the time, they have spiritual dreams or know things beyond the veil. That basically, you're like, how did you know that? Earth elements are extremely selective with friends and partners. When they open up, it's deep, otherworldly, and almost become one with that person. They notice almost every detail like mannerisms, emotions, and things that others always miss. Signs you may need an earth cleanse: feeling physically or emotionally drained by your surroundings, experiencing stress or anxiety around others, not having motivation to eat or personify your space and clean up, feeling disconnected from your work, creativity, or passions is a very big indicator. And just feeling disconnected around your environment, like no longer inspired to want to try out a cafe, a restaurant, or the things that you really once enjoyed. Emotional sensitivity or overthinking due to their environmental chaos, and especially an earth element being indecisive is another one. Ways to connect with earth: connecting to different forms of art, music, your favorite foods or shows. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me fix it. Okay, but yeah, so connecting to, essentially, when it comes to earth, what you need to be connecting with is yourself. You need to ground yourself, spend time with yourself, all the things that you enjoy or that bring you peace. Ultimately, it could be as little as playing your favorite video games or, you know, reading your favorite books over, but it's those things that bring you joy at the end of the day. And obviously, specifically with earth elements, you want to cleanse with something like sandalwood. You want to cleanse with like earthy kind of incenses. I'll leave it in the description box because I do have quite a few. You can also work with herbs, so like you can make different oils, whatever is calling out to you. It could be lavender, it could be rose, it might be rosemary, right? It might be vanilla. So oils is definitely very earthy. I feel like you can use it for other elements, but it's more earthy because you do have to wait a month to use it. What else I would say? And music, and I feel like just like kitchen magic, like you really want to do handmade things like making your own clothes, or well, like sewing and stuff like that, or like Like for example, for me, something I like to do is making my own oat milk or almond milk. I haven't done it in a while, but it's really fun. You could also bake, or like just finding a new recipe and trying it. Things like that where you're like using your hands, I feel like are very helpful to help you connect to the earth, because you're connecting to the old ways basically. And when I say old ways, I mean like when there was no internet and you had to read a recipe off of a cookbook, right? Or you had to you didn't get the measurements. You had to cook because you knew you had to feed people, and you did it by, you measured by eyesight. That's how it was before. Or you had to do things natural, things like that. That is what ultimately is also gonna help you feel grounded if you want something more stronger. And smoke cleansing, so anything like, no white sage because it's cultural appropriation, of course, unless you're Native American. But there's different type of sages. Like I said, juniper is really good. I love juniper. There's yerba santa. You have yerba santa, I feel like is more water, for water element, but you can use it too. There's different bundles of sages. If you really go on Etsy, you can go on Etsy, you can go on I feel like any maybe like, I don't want to say TikTok, but I just always like Etsy because I feel like you really find a lot of handmade stuff there. But you can also go to like what is it called again, like a farmer's market or flea markets. Sometimes they have handmade things there as well. And crystals, because crystals come from the earth, so that's another thing you can work with. There's a lot, so I would say trust your intuition for sure, because it will never lead you astray. So next we're gonna do fire. So fire is an element that constantly changes, therefore represents expression, intensity, courage, and the drive to ignite change. People who resonate with fire often carry a powerful presence, whether they seek attention or not. Their energy naturally draws people in, making them memorable wherever they go. Individuals connected to this element are often misunderstood. They tend to be brutally honest, direct, and emotionally intense, which can cause others to either deeply admire them or strongly dislike them. Fire energy does not exist to please everyone or anyone, in fact. It exists to illuminate truth and inspire fuel for action. Naturally become sources of light to others. They uplift people through humor, storytelling, encouragement, or by simply being unapologetically themselves. Often know many people and bring others together in social groups, but consider very few family or close to them. Their light attracts a lot of jealousy, hidden animosity, and betrayal. Signs you may need a fire cleanse: feeling unmotivated, uninspired, stagnant, or lacking motivation. Losing self-control and discipline over and over towards your passions or creativity. No longer wanting to be your eccentric self through your style, makeup, personality, and attitude. Suppressing your emotions to keep the peace with others. Feeling burnt out in every area of your life. Constantly needing change, but your energy stays low. That is a really big indicator. A fire cleanse helps restore confidence, passion, vitality, and personal power. Ways to cleanse with fire: carefully practicing candle magic, setting intentions, burning old items or old letters representing the past, things you want to let go of. Spending time in the sunlight to recharge your energy obviously is a big one, especially with loved ones who do not drain you. And having fun is the main thing. Having fun. Going out to places you enjoy on your own and enjoying your own company. Using creativity, especially music and dance, as a good way to get rid of stagnant energy. Fire is, as an element, is a little bit more complicated because some fire elements hold more energy, like their energy is more intense, so they hold more energy and they need to constantly cleanse themselves more. So if you find that you're around a lot more people, you know that you need to cleanse more often. You know, I did tarot for a very long time, and I was constantly talking to people like all night. And I only say that because it's in the same way that I would need to cleanse almost every day. So just pay attention to your emotions, your physical body, because it would, and your intuition, because it will definitely show you the signs when other people are draining you. Or so I left off at fire, and I was saying that fire is a little bit more complex because you can hold more energy, you can be around a lot of people, and because of that you may need to cleanse more constantly. So that's something to keep in mind. Not all fire elements like to be around people, but people like to be around them. That's the difference. Next up is gonna be air elements. Air is the element of thought, curiosity, intention, and communication. It represents intelligence, creativity, and the endless exchange of ideas that shape how we understand the world. People who resonate with air often possess a naturally active mind, and a deep desire to learn, explore, and connect with others. If you resonate with air elements, you're freaking smart, okay? You are freaking smart. That's what I have to say. Individuals connected to this element are frequently mature for their age and highly observant. They pay attention to small details others overlook and trust facts and actions over emotions, often remembering meaningful things about the people they love. Air is always deeply inspired by the world around them, drawn to poetry, art, especially all the colors, photography, music, conversations, animals, new perspective, and intellectualism is a good one. Air aligned people tend to be extremely creative and curious. They enjoy learning multiple skills, hobbies, and trades throughout their life, rarely ever feeling satisfied staying in one path for too long. They will never fit in one box and will constantly change their hair, their style, appearance, and hobbies. Because of their sharp minds, they are often the ones who ask important questions. They challenge authority and people in charge, oftentimes becoming leaders themselves. They seek wisdom and truth rather than money or material things, and will refuse to blindly accept what they are told. Even though they may be lighthearted, love to make people laugh and smile, they often only hold a few near and dear to their heart. The people who are just as eccentric, humanitarian, and can see who they really are because of lived experience. What I've noticed with air elements is that they're just like fire elements. They are very misunderstood, and a lot of people like to use them for their intelligence. For they always have like so many different things that they can do, and people take advantage of that. So over time they become more reserved, or they only hold a few near and dear to their heart. Money usually comes very easily to them. Not saying that they're born millionaires, but they're kind of like money is just like not ever really a problem. Like they kind of just do things day by day and they figure it out. Signs you may need an air cleanse is constant negative, overwhelming, or anxious thoughts, feeling uninspired, confused, not connected to their own magic or whimsy. Air elements are so whimsical. I love it. They remind me of like fairies. I love it so much. Like fairies, losing motivation to socialize, communicate, or share ideas, feeling disconnected from creativity, curiosity, or learning, struggling to focus, or feeling mentally scattered. Ways to cleanse with air would be practicing meditation in all of your favorite places: cafe, nature, art, museum. Spending time outside in fresh air, especially in open spaces. Journaling, writing, poetry, or expressing thoughts creatively. Listening to music that helps you release your emotions or bad thoughts. Spending time doing things you enjoy on your own to recharge or with loved ones. I think with air elements, I would also say that travel is really good for them. Hiking and being like at the top of mountains and stuff, like just something that is not only gonna bring them new perspectives but new experiences. And they're usually the type of people, like that one friend that you know that is like doing all the adrenaline things. So that's why I say like hiking really high mountains and stuff like that, working out, just building better habits that help your mind to think positive. For example, like working out and like doing things that make you want to be more disciplined. They usually are though already. And also venting is really good for them. Finding a loved one or a friend that you really trust and not being afraid to ask for help or venting, because you can't take everything on your own. And of course, last but not least, smoke cleansing. For air elements, smoke cleansing is one of the easiest to cleanse your energy, whether that's different types of sage. And again, I will repeat, no white sage, it's cultural appropriation. Your favorite type of incense, and also waking up early in the morning and being productive. For whatever reason, I associate air elements with either super early, bright in the morning, or late night. So whichever you are, wherever you are more creative, use that to your advantage, especially when you want to cleanse your energy and kind of come back to yourself, for sure. But I definitely hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, if you want to add it to the document. I do want to at one point start our own little magical Discord for these kind of things. I would love it. But for right now, let me know how I did, if you learned something, if you gained something valuable, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.